now to talk about the preoperative liquid diet. You'll be starting this diet 2 to 3 weeks before surgery to get your body ready for surgery. The liver is one of the largest organs in our abdominal cavity, and as seen in the image on the right side of the screen, it partially covers up the stomach. So when Dr. Green goes in to do the surgery, he has to move the liver out of the way to access the stomach. This diet is a low calorie, low carbohydrate liquid diet. It forces the liver to use its stored energy sources, which can shrink the liver by about 20 to 30% of its volume. For patients with a BMI of 50 and above, you will be starting this diet 3 weeks before surgery to have optimal liver shrinking effects. And for patients with a BMI below 50, you will be starting this diet 2 weeks before surgery. You will also be following this diet for 3 weeks after surgery for a different purpose, to allow your stomach and intestines to have some bowel rest as they heal from surgery. So before surgery, the purpose of this liquid diet is to make surgery easier, reduce complications by shrinking the size of the liver. And the purpose of the diet after surgery is to allow your bowels to rest and heal properly afterwards. So looking at what this diet consists of, we're aiming for less than 1,000 calories each day, less than 50 grams of carbohydrates. We're aiming for 60 to 80 grams of protein each day. So really trying to make sure that we're getting enough protein in so we're not starting to eat away at our muscles while we're on this diet. We're also aiming for 64 ounces of liquids each day. So starting to keep track of that so that we get in the habit of aiming for 64 ounces before surgery, so that after surgery, when we're trying to stay well hydrated, you're able to maintain that habit. Everything should be liquid and clear at room temperature, with the exception of protein shakes and sugar-free Jello. Protein shakes, of course, have a milky texture to them, and sugar-free Jello is gelatinous, but it is considered a clear liquid. For milks and other milk-like beverages like almond milk and soy milk, you can't drink those while on this diet, just because they might provide a little bit too much calories or too many carbohydrates while you're on this diet. So the only milky substance that you'll be drinking are the protein shakes. Additionally, everything should be sugar-free, with the exception of a little bit of regular Gatorade. So while we want to keep our carbohydrates under 50 grams per day to help with shrinking the liver, we do need a little bit of carbohydrates each day to fuel our brain. Carbohydrates are the primary source of energy for our brain. So if you don't get enough carbohydrates while on this diet, you might feel a little bit sluggish slash fatigued during the diet. So we're aiming for 30 grams of carbohydrates per day. Some patients are able to achieve that with their protein shakes, while others might have very low carb protein shakes and need a little bit of regular Gatorade just to top off on their carbohydrates for the day. During this diet, we're also aiming to eliminate carbonation and caffeine. Both of those are stomach irritants, and you won't be able to drink them for a period of time after surgery. So let's look at what liquids actually go into this. So of course, our protein shakes are non-carbonated 0-calorie liquids such as Crystal Light, Neo droplets, sugar-free Snapple, sugar-free Minute Maid. We have that sugar-free Jello, in which you could either buy it or make it at home. We have that regular Gatorade, in which I do get some complaints that patients don't like the taste of Gatorade, or they start getting tired of the Gatorade. So you can use coconut water or vitamin water to help with achieving the 30 grams of carbohydrates each day. We also have sugar-free popsicles. One thing to note with the popsicles is make sure that it is sugar-free. Check the back of the label. Sometimes people get confused between the no added sugar and sugar-free labeling on the package. No added sugar popsicles still have the natural sugars from the fruits in them, which might provide too many carbohydrates while on this diet. So just double check that nutrition facts label for everything that you're drinking on this diet. And then we have our beef, chicken, bone broth, not limited to just those options, but our broth in general. So looking at some tips while on this diet. So I highly recommend alternating between sweet and savory options to help prevent taste fatigue. So, one of the biggest complaints I get from patients after surgery is that everything is sweet, the protein shakes, the Crystal Light, the sugar free popsicles, and everybody's just tired of the sweets. The only savory option you really have on this diet is the broth. So, I do recommend getting a variety of broths to drink and alternating that in during the day to help with breaking up the sweet flavors. With the broth, I recommend aiming for about 5 to 6 different flavors, just because you are on this diet for about 5 to 6 weeks before and after surgery. So it's a very long time to be on a liquid diet. We have the option of the veggie broth, beef broth, chicken broth, but there's also other fun flavors like miso broth, Vietnamese pho broth, lobster broth. So a lot of options with that and a lot of room for variety in it. We also want to consider alternating protein shakes and protein waters to help with preventing texture fatigue. So one of the second most complaints I get from patients after surgery is that they're so sick of the milky protein shakes. It's that texture, that milky texture that they're very tired of. So I highly recommend alternating protein waters with the shakes to help with preventing texture fatigue. Protein waters have more of a juice-like texture than a milk texture to them. So they can be really helpful for adding that variety in. Another option too is you can buy unflavored protein powder and add that to your favorite soup broth to make a protein broth that can also help with meeting that 60 to 80 grams of protein that you need every day. Last thing I wanted to note on this slide is that I want you to add in some type of fiber supplement to help with preventing constipation. So specifically as a fiber powder, so that could be benefiber, citrusol, metamucil, and I want you to add in 1 tablespoon daily. So while on a liquid diet, it's practically a fiber-free diet, so we do want to add in that supplemental fiber so that our body is still able to remove waste from itself in the form of bowel movements. So definitely want to be on that both before and after surgery to help prevent constipation. And then last thing to note is our protein shakes. So what should be on that nutrition facts label? So we're aiming for 1 serving of protein shake / powder to have 15 to 30 grams of protein, 100 to 200 calories, and less than 10 grams of carbohydrates. A lot of protein shakes on the market fit this bill, but when in doubt, check the nutrition facts label just to make sure that you're meeting those guidelines and your liver is shrinking in preparation for surgery. Some popular protein shakes among patients are the Fairlife protein shakes and Premier protein shakes for ready to drink shakes. We have Undri and Bariatric Fusion for protein broths. These both come as powders that you mix into water. I highly recommend mixing it into room temperature water and slowly bringing it up to a warm enough temperature to drink. With these protein powders, if you heat them up too fast or too high of a temp, it can coagulate the protein, so make it quote unquote scramble in the broth, which is not a pleasant texture to drink. So definitely want to slowly heat it up, but not too much. And if you have a thermometer at home that you can use, the temperature that we're aiming to stay under is 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And then last two things on the slide are protein to go and isopure infusion protein water. So both of them are protein waters that come in ready to drink form, and powder form. So you have a few options here, but as mentioned before, there's a lot of options on the market. And the big thing with getting through this diet is giving yourself some variety. So including options from a variety of different brands, flavors, types of protein shakes. So definitely want to work on that variety.